Holy Spirit, guide us, lead us, help us as we lift our thoughts, words, and actions to bring you glory. As we embark on this journey to wrestle with who you are, your word, and how to apply it to our lives, let this be a blessing to our listeners and to ourselves. As we strive to be kingdom builders, lead us with grace and humility. Please shine through us, Lord. We walk this out of faith of who you are and hope of being of service to you, Lord. In Jesus' name, our high priest, we pray. Amen.
Yeah, what up?
What up?
Man, chilling. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you.
I had that in my head too. I just didn't know the words. I wasn't confident in myself.
You didn't want to mess it up and have people make fun of you.
Right.
Our 5 listeners. Oh, 3?
Yeah.
I was giving us more credit, like I'd be giving you inches on your height.
You know.
Yeah. So, we're recording this right now. It's been a while. It's the first one of the new year. I mean, even though it's the 23rd.
Yeah, it's past MLK Day and everything.
Yeah, we missed New Year's. We missed MLK Day. We missed the National Championship Day. What else we missed?
I mean, a lot of the inauguration.
Oh, that happened too?
Yeah. January 6th.
January, year. Over 4 years from that. That was 4 years ago. Man.
Never forget.
Yeah, nope.
But
wasn't all them people pardoned?
Yeah.
But didn't
that's why I said it's gonna be a long episode.
But didn't so they got pardoned, but didn't people like die, lose eyes, go to hospitals, had to go to trauma, like therapy?
Yes.
And
people physically assaulted police officers that risked their life to save Congress. And they are on the street.
I didn't read into it, but
Trump tried to give him a blanket pardon.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you.
It's being challenged right now, but he tried to give him a blanket pardon,
which would blanket them from any sins they future commit.
So
all January 6th people could kill everybody they wanted to, like the purge, and they basically have like
it's not
purge.
It's not that general.
Oh, okay.
But like a blanket pardon in regard to like anything related to their crimes that they were committed. They did commit.
Okay.
So in theory, if they went up back to the court, to the state, legislation, whatever building there, Capitol building, and like slapped a cop in the face, they might be able to get off at that charge.
Oh, that's crazy. I mean, it's not a political show.
It's not, but like politics and
there's a lot
faith are connected in a sense that people see them as connected.
Man,
I don't see them as connected.
So Gizmo said, like, to rage war, you got to become war, or something like that. He
said nothing like that.
He did say something like that.
When?
Because he was watching Rambo. That's where he got it from. That's why he put that sash on, because he was watching the movie Rambo. So Sylvester Stallone said that. Gizmo just said Gizmo. Like he didn't really say much other than that. Like, Billy, I love you. That's what he said at the end of the movie. But I don't know. Mogwai. That's what he said. But trying to change the subject from the political piece. So I want you to do me a favor.
What's up?
I want you to spell N-word. Spell N-word.
N?
No. N-word.
N-word?
Yeah.
Like INNWARD?
Yeah, that's what the title name of it. Say it slow. N-word.
Okay.
That's why I kept saying N-word. Because you say it slow, N-word.
Yeah.
Like, you wanted to have this conversation.
We could have named it Noah Kaniga, whatever his name is. Noah. What? Do you remember that dude?
Yeah, I know. I remember. And I remember a post, social media post that old dude, the commentator for that school, was like, "Look, y'all, I am practicing this. Basically, you are not going to get me. You are not going to get me." It's like that I don't know if you saw this the skit thing that's not a skit, it's a gift from like Wheel of Fortune, and it says something, and it's one letter left. It's IGGER. It's something, and then one letter.
It was South Park.
It was South Park.
Yeah.
No. This was really on. This was a real Jeopardy.
Oh, okay.
Not Jeopardy. Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
And it was some word, and then it said blank IGGER. And he said, "I like to get. Is there an N up there?" And it just got quiet. So it's faux pas to say it. You wanted to have this conversation for a couple reasons, and you wanted to bring. So the reason why we're doing this one is, we're talking about in the fall, we're talking about the Bible, and we're talking about something that came up in Brandon's life, and he wanted to talk about it. And I didn't know how biblical or how the Bible was going to come into play with this conversation, and so I kind of started asking questions, but would rather have left the questions for on the podcast so we can get it out and go that route, because Brandon's going to try to bring biblical piece into it, and I'm gonna bring the word and the realness into it. So I think we typically have a the
word is real, but yeah, continue.
Yeah. I use the word sometimes, but normally I say ninja. Mm-hmm. I try to change it to ninja to be less offensive, so that you still know what I mean. Right. And it's just like, you look at this word, over and over and how it's used. It was, I don't know if it was Abbott Elementary or it might have been the movie Insecure. I just saw this today, and it might have been like a clip from Insecure, and dude had a baby on him, and he's like, "Oh, this is a lit kid party." He's like, "You got Peppa Pig." He's like, "It's a hard R, copyright thing, so it's a hard R. It's Pepper Pig." Like, so they use the hard R. Though when we talk about this word, it really is how it's become a term of endearment that people use it as. It's also been at the same breath, this word can mean something negative. Like when Chris Rock did his skit and he talked about him being at the ATM, and he's like, "At the ATM, I'm not scared of black people." So the N word comes up, and it's really interesting. Because people of color, when we say people of color, Hispanic people use that word as we would use the word.
I'm not okay with that, though.
So you're not okay with Hispanic people saying it either?
No.
Okay. So again, this is a non-explicit show. That's why we're not saying the word, because
I don't want to go bad, though. I don't feel like it has as much weight when they say it, because the history behind the word wasn't them enslaving us, but I still don't like it, because I wouldn't say the S word to them, even if it was a term of endearment.
What's the S word?
I'm not going to say it. It used to be a spray. It used to be a cleaning product.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. The Dave Chappelle skit. My favorite neighbors just come to.
So let's start from the beginning.
I'm going back. You want to tell a story about it?
Well, I was just going to say,
the stage.
Speaking of Dave Chappelle, in spite of this conversation, there was a Dave Chappelle episode where he had a white man narrating the story like it was like a documentary about the blind Klansman that was black
blind white supremacist. Yes.
Yeah, I laughed. Mm-hmm. I think when I first heard it when we were young, I still think it was cringeworthy, but like after the episode went on, like ever since then, I laugh at it. So like, I'm not saying 100% never want to hear a white person say the word. I mean, there's Tarantino, he
well, that's what I was just about to ask you. Like, you are a Leonardo DiCaprio fan.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, black, white, Mexican, green, yellow, whatever, are Leonardo DiCaprio fans.
Yeah.
And Leonardo DiCaprio and Django, you would believe that he was a racist dude. Right.
So,
but he also made The Beach. Right. And if you haven't seen The Beach, please Google The Beach.
Why? Don't do that.
Because I want you to see who this man really is. You can't ever be mad at him because he made the movie The Beach.
Okay. So Roy Woods Jr. made a joke about how movies have helped us as a Black community share our plight with the world, right? Okay. And so in these movies, you have to have someone willing to do what Leonardo did. That man said the N-word probably 200 times in front of Samuel L. Jackson and did it like everything. He said it with his chest. You know, that takes courage and dedication, and it helped us out. That was his joke, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, sorry. I'm looking up. I was trying to look up and see if I could find out how many
times he said the word. I'm just saying, even like he had to, like, I'm sure they didn't take every take. I'm sure he had to like do that again, do it at a different angle. But like, while you're looking at, I'll tell the story. Like, what happened.
I found it. Leonardo DiCaprio said the N-word by filming. It doesn't really say how many times he said it. But yeah, go ahead and tell your story.
So my son is in high school, and for whatever reason, I decided to ask him if his white friends say the N-word around him. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't like surprised, but I was shocked of his answer when he said yes. And then I'm like, what do you do about it? And he said, I don't do anything, because he used to try to tell them to stop and they don't do it. So he just kind of let it go. So that's why I brought the subject up to you to discuss, I guess, the broad picture of why I think that is a problem. And then my spiritual side took over, and I want to talk about that subject from basically both angles.
Okay. The other day, had to be Monday. I didn't watch the inauguration. I wasn't putting that on the TV. I wasn't gonna watch that, but it was Martin Luther King Day, so they had different movies on. So I don't know if I think The Express was on. 42 was on, and it just happened to click past it. I was clicking through channels, and 42 was on. And my son 11, my middle one, he came down, and he was walking down, and dude from Resident Alien, I don't know his name. He's been in a lot of movies, but he's the coach for the other team, and he says here, inward. And so Izzy walked down.
Serenity.
He was in Serenity.
Yeah, I don't know.
He did a lot of stuff. Resident Alien is like on 5th season or something like that.
That's a real thing.
It's like it's a TV show, and he's like an alien from another world.
Firefly? Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's Resident Alien.
Okay.
No, it's called Resident Alien.
I believe you.
Yeah, Google it.
Yeah, it's good.
You could ask the A lady or the S lady; they'll tell you. But I don't like that angle. That was too close. I saw my nose hairs in that one. I tried to pick them out. What's going on? But he saw that. He's like, did he just say? And I'm like, yeah, he did. So, you think about this. This word is out there. I remember I had a conversation with, friend. You talk about, I always make fun of your son and my oldest son, because they both light skinned it. Like they light,
high yellow.
Highlighter yellow. And I feel like sometimes people get away with things around light-skinned people not because they may think that they're less of something, but because they think it might not offend them. So for me, my mom is Black, my dad is Black, but when I look at my DNA, I'm 17% or more, like 18% British Irish. So that's how I know that my ancestors were owned by slaves, and owned, down in Lexington, Tennessee is where Jack Trice, we trace his roots down there. That's where the Trice name comes from. So Lexington, Tennessee is where, my family were slaves. And I look at that and I say, people feel like they can get away with it around light-skinned people. I don't know if it's true, but I'm like, okay, he's light-skinned, so he's not full Black, so it's okay. Or, he's in a certain neighborhood or a certain school, so he's okay. But I would like you to tell, before we get really deep into it, tell about another situation at your son's school that happened. As why this kind of is, yeah.
Okay, so there was a kid. Oh, this kind of connects to the inauguration in a sense, because of the whole Nazi salute. But there was a kid.
What Nazi salute?
Go
ahead. I'm just joking. Go ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
There was a special needs kid. I don't even know what the proper words are anymore. At the high school that said the N-word to someone, and he got jumped, and no longer goes to school there. He was in a coma, like they messed him up bad. And I don't condone that at all. But I asked my son, how do you feel about it? And he said, he wasn't really sure. And I didn't want to attach, because when I hear the word from someone that, is Caucasian, I feel some type of way about it. 99% of the time, right?
Okay.
In a negative sense. And so I don't necessarily, if that word doesn't have power on my son, I don't want to add that to him. If he can brush it off and not have a N-word moment like in Boondocks, I would prefer him not, go ballistic on someone. But at the same time, if his friends are saying it, I want them to respect him. And that's complete disrespect just because they want to pretend they're part of the culture or whatever. There's a lot that goes into it. But so I wrestle with that. Do I make them upset with the word or do I not?
So when we talk about, one of the things that a lot of people will talk about is they will talk about the influence of Black culture on the United States, on the world, how it's transcended so far. So you think about music today. I know every popular song out there if Kidz Bop made it. I know all the Kidz Bop versions of all the songs. So I sing all of them. Then when I hear the real one, I'm like, oh, they said that. But given, like you said, 98% of the time, you feel some type of way in a negative way when people say it. If someone's singing a song out there, a popular song right now, let's say I'll say back, I don't know if it was 10 years ago, whatever. It was whatever James, Goldie. He's like, gold all of my watch, gold all of my chain. Okay, or Future or Lil Wayne, and they say the N-word in those songs, but now popular culture has done it, and you hear someone singing a song and they sing it word from word, and they put those words, they sing all those words. What do you feel when you hear that?
It's less of a, I feel like they shouldn't say it, but I don't feel like it's the same as them coming up to me and saying, what's up?
So what's the difference? So what do you feel the difference is? Because they're still saying the word.
Yeah, I don't think they should say it.
And the meaning hasn't changed. The meaning is still, they could be using it the same way.
I get it.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I'm giving them some grace, basically, because I know the song's catchy, and it's harder to not. I'm not in their shoes. I don't think they should say the word. So if it happens in front of me, I'll say don't do it. But my response to, if it's in a song or if someone goes what's up, would be different, because I feel like trying to repeat a song is different than approaching me in that manner.
Okay.
We have the same struggles, basically.
So you talked about something, but recently, are you hearing a ding every time I hear a ding in my computer?
I don't hear a ding.
Okay, cool. You lost your black card recently.
I did not, and you even said I didn't. It was on hold for a little bit. I didn't.
Yeah, it was on layaway.
It was on hold.
Layaway.
Because of the principle. It was on principle. I did the right thing.
Right thing, wrong thing. Let's talk about that situation.
Okay.
Because given certain situations, it goes to the situation of this kid at the school that got beat up by saying it. You at a wedding in the middle of somewhere where you're the only one that looked like you, and it said just as nonchalantly as if it's just saying like breathing, it was just nonchalant, but you were in a situation where you were by yourself.
Well, I didn't. It was said so like it was okay. That caught me off guard. So And it wasn't with malice, but he said it, right?
But 90% of the time, I don't believe that it's said with malice. And that's, I think, that's where we did, because I don't think that it's said with malice, because if I say it to some of my close white friends, they're not going to say it back to me.
Okay.
But if they did say it back to me,
right,
I wouldn't get mad at times in certain situations, because you said it, like you said, if it's not in malice, and if you know, like, I'm gonna bring up a guy's name, White Rodney. We call him White Rodney.
Wait, because my black card's on the line right now, so I gotta get this out.
Oh, it's gone. I mean, we ain't got anything you say.
You gotta let me defend this.
Okay, all right, go ahead. All right, go ahead, defend it.
So, the rule is conflict. It doesn't mean violence. I just need to push back. That's the rule, right? So if it's said, even if it, not even in malice, it's just if the word is used, push back, shut it down, right? By any means necessary. If it requires violence, it requires violence. But the rule is you gotta shut it down. And I didn't obey the rule.
Okay.
The reason is I don't think he would have been receptive to anything I had to say, and I'm not going to fight at someone's wedding.
Even if you feel disrespected.
Yeah, but like, why would I ruin someone's day?
Because your day was ruined.
But he wasn't trying to be mean with it.
Okay, so that's where I bring up, if someone's not trying to be negative with it, I believe that's 95. I go the opposite way of you. I think 95% of the time it's not said with malice.
I didn't say it was said with malice 99% of the time. I said
you said it offends you.
I get offended, yeah. Even if it's said like hey, what up? I still like, no, I don't want to hear that.
But what? So I'm trying to understand the offense part, because if something offends you, aren't you going to take it to another level? Aren't you going to really? Okay, got a perfect example. This is kind of my thing. This kind of I think goes hand in hand with you. This happened about, I want to say, probably 10 years now. 10 to 11 years ago, maybe even 12. I'll go 10, 11 years ago. And a group of friends, a group of coworkers that were leaders. One was the same level as me as a manager, and a couple other ones on a text thread were higher up. And a friend of mine, he was a friend of mine, I considered him a friend. I was probably his only black friend. He's from a small town. Like, he's not from a small town, but he's from Lake Tahoe. So, up in the mountains, cabin, that's where he's from. And it was a text thread, and I was on it, and he said something in a group. They were talking about something, slipped something, and I don't know if he forgot I was on there or knew I was on there and really didn't think about it. But in the text message, he used the N-word in the text message. And this is a person who, when I had to go out of town for work, him and his wife would take my son for me. Like, I was living in Northern California, I had to work in Southern California. They would take my son overnight, keep him for a day or two for me, get him to school, feed him. Never had any issues with being there. If I wanted to go to their house, he would give me the keys to their cabin in Tahoe to go camping. He had a boat. I could go take his boat out if I wanted to. Again, I considered him a friend. He did this and slipped and said this. I sent him a message separately. I called him. I said, hey, I'm going to have to take a break from you because you said this word. I got to process you saying this word in a text message to a group of guys, because if you said this in a group, that means you say it normally. You say this on other occasions.
Can I ask
A
or hard R?
It might have been a hard R.
Okay.
It was a hard R. It wasn't an A. It was a hard R. And it might have been like, because it's like, he might have been like, you're such, I don't know if it said, again, it's 11 years ago. So I'm not going to, I'm not going to say I'm not going to say that's what he said. It was 11 years ago. And I don't remember, I don't remember that,
Yeah.
But even okay, so then the next that was like a Saturday. That was like a Saturday or Friday night or something like that. So no work till like Monday. And that Monday, I had a meeting with one of the higher ups on there. I had a meeting with him for something else. And at the end of the meeting, he's like, hey, George, and we talked about it because it wasn't him that said it, but he was on that text and he kind of felt bad because he knew the word. Now, the thing about it is I had to take some time away. I don't think our relationship ever got to the same point. I still would text him. I still call him. I still make sure him and his family are good because, again, from what I gathered in our conversation afterwards, he didn't understand why I was so mad about it. Again, I was like his only Black friend, and our culture had influenced it. But again, he would take my son. He would feed my son. He would do anything that I needed him to do for me and my Black son. So I had to take a pause on it, but I didn't stop being his friend forever because of that.
Okay.
And so I had to rethink and think about it, because one of the things that I learned, and this is from, and I think this might be from me being in corporate America, but one training I took was of like conscious inclusion for Black people. So insurance is typically an older white male run organization, and for Black people to fit into it in this new world. And one of the things the guy told me, he was bald. He was a teacher and he was bald, but when he was in college, he had hair. And there was a girl like that worked at the mailroom in his dorm or something like that, and asked him to touch his hair. Went to a college. She didn't know many Black people, probably didn't see many Black people, and he had an afro, wanted to touch his hair. What we are burdened with as Black people is the burden of reaction. Our reaction is going to determine a lot of things. How we react. For one, he could have. So this is the story. He said, I could have said, no, you can't touch my hair. Well, I'll let you touch my hair. Like, what was wrong with you asking to touch a Black person's hair? He said, or I can say, yes, you can touch my hair. Because in his mind, it's like, okay, she's never met a Black person. She's never seen anybody with this. If I react negatively and, jump at her, she could possibly be that way towards all Black people. And now she's going to have this, oh, I don't want to talk to Black people because last time I talked to Black people about something like that, they jumped down my throat or whatever. So then she would have this other view of Black people. But if he was accommodating, because it wasn't something that was going to offend him or hurt him, so he let her touch his hair. So I look at these things and I say, how we react to these things determines a lot of the future. It determines what happens in that next level. And so that's why sometimes I don't think about it. If someone's singing the song, again, if you're talking to we went to school with some white pig farmers that probably we were their only Black friends at that time. But what I'm saying is, I don't know. So that one of them pig farmers said something.
I was thinking about one individual in particular.
Pig farmer?
Yeah.
He never said it.
I don't care if he said it or not.
Oh, I don't know what pig farm you're talking about, but a pig farm I'm thinking of. But anyway, like they were around us in the situation. So they were around basketball players at Iowa State, football players at Iowa State, and they picked up on that. And in order for them to fit in, and if they felt they fit in and they said it, knowing their background, knowing that it wasn't malice in there, I would look at that one different than someone who knows that you don't say that, knows that, like, to the extent of they've been around, they know what you're not supposed to do, they know what you're not supposed to say, and they do it anyway, or they've been told multiple times and they continue to do it in a negative way. So I look at these things a little bit differently, I think.
Yeah. I think you're not saying anything any different than me. I might just feel more I might just be more ready to crash out than you are, just because of my upbringing than you. So just to get into some background, I am from Peoria, Illinois, and there's even a TikTok a few years ago that talked about one of the most racist areas.
TikTok?
Sorry,
is that still a thing?
Yeah, it's still a thing.
Okay.
This guy pointed out a town that was close to Peoria that was one of the most racist places in the country, called Pekin, Illinois. It's better now, but at the time it was horrible. So like I grew up with my high school had the N-word on every desk I sat at. The first one I went to, not Central, and had it on the doors into the building. Like it was just everywhere. And so I personally just think about being disliked just because of the color of my skin when I hear it. And so that's why I'm more likely to get upset than you are. And that is from my childhood. I didn't have a lot of Black people around me when I was a kid, as much as you did.
Yeah, because I had a lot of them until I went to high school. Like that's all it was. So as we talk about this, we're about 30 minutes into this, and we've talked about a couple things. But what I want to ask you is, I want to ask you about what this means. So you shared this, and this was one of the things that you talked about as
perfect,
as what you were thinking about from the standpoint of why we're having this conversation. So I'll let you read it, and then kind of talk about what, because I think it ties into what I just said, and I want to tie it down. I want you to talk about it.
Can I before I read that?
Yeah.
This hit home for me with George Floyd. So when I was younger, I looked at myself as like, I tried to be not like an activist, but I was like pro-Black because I felt that we were attacked for just because of what we look like. And I didn't feel like it was fair. So a lot of my thought was, how do we help our community not be hated? And so as a young man, not realizing how the world worked completely, I thought, we were moving in the right direction, but still people needed to understand that we were just like everyone else. We just had, melanin. So when someone attacked our community, I kind of like the Malcolm response more than the Martin response. I like the, we're going to protect ourselves with guns if need be, that kind of thing. So going back to that verse, can you put it back up? Peter's talking to Jesus, and he asks, Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? Up to 7 times. And Jesus answered, I tell you, not 7 times, but 77 times. So that is saying, if someone sins against you, you're supposed to forgive them a lot. And there's a significance with the number, but we don't need to go into that. And for me, and I'm speaking for me, and it's like human nature to be appalled by sin that you don't struggle with, but more forgiving of sin that you do struggle with. So since I don't see myself as like racist, I struggle with that sin. Like, how dare you be, how can you see me as different than human than you when I don't see you that way? But like, it's still sin. So I had to take a step back and figure, how do I want to approach this? Do I want to approach it as a Black man, or do I want to approach it as a Christian, like a follower of Christ? And that was a struggle for me. But after George Floyd, I realized, like, if I do what Jesus asked us to do, if I walk with him, I will get the results I want. If I do it the way I want to, I won't ever. So that's why I brought up that verse, because even though my body wants to swing, if I hear the word in malice, that's not what Jesus is telling me to do necessarily.
Yeah. I can look at this 2 different ways. Everybody, 99% of people in the Bible look like each other.
Yeah.
Right? They're from the same place. So when they say my brother, I look at that and I say that the Bible was written in a different time. Yeah. It was written for like that's why I say like the Bible was written at that time for people that looked like them in that world for the most part. And that's what he's talking to when he talk about my brother. I look at that and I say, you know, how many times am I gonna forgive? And it says 77 times. I know the significance of 7. They say it takes 7 times for you to hear something for it to stick. They say the average attention span is 7 seconds. So if you want to get something in 7 seconds to get somebody to attach to it, you want to get your point across as fast as you can. That's kind of where that elevator speech, even though it's 30 seconds, that's where the elevator speech, people's attention spans, getting things out there right away. I look at that and I say that we are going to have to forgive more than 77 times. We here in America, or wherever we go, we're going to always be forgiving because we are the minority. We are here because we were brought here to be property. We were brought here to do a job at that time. You talk about this word. This is gonna sound weird. I think I get more offended when African people say the N-word than I do white people at this day and age.
Okay. I just want to stop you. You realize you were being recorded, right?
I know. I do.
Okay.
I do. No, and that's why I'm being honest. That's what I'm saying. Like this is my thought. And the reason why is like I honestly have looked at that when people say you prefer to be Black or African American. I'm like, if I gotta be something, you put the title of Black on me. That's because that's what the world has put on me. That's what's in the Bible. That's what in the dictionary. That's what they put on me. I'm a Black person in there. When I fill out an application, until we get away from putting, like, I still don't understand why they have, Hispanic or non-Hispanic separate. Then you have Black, white, whatever there. But I have to check a box, and I could check a box that says other. I could check a box that says Black, but they put Black and African American together. And one of the things that, why I say, like, I don't say I'm African American. I say I'm Black because that's what the title that the United States has put on me. The reason why I don't say I'm African American is solely because I have friends and acquaintances that are African that now have their green card and are that hyphened American. They are African American. I look at that and say they are African American. I'm so far removed from my African roots. I'm American, but I'm a Black American. I'm Black. And the thing about it, when I say like African people that are my friends, nothing against it, but they didn't go through the same struggle or have that, in my mind, have that word used against them the same way that we have by being born here and being generations here in the United States of what that word is. Because if they came from Africa, they always had their freedom in a different way. British, kind of overtook parts of Africa. I understand all that, but I'm talking about slavery in general and where this word came from in our Merriam dictionary or whatever you want to call that right now. I look at that and I say, you don't deserve to say the word the same way. Like if you're singing in a song, okay, I guess it's a song. So like I said, but that stuff doesn't bother me. Everybody listen to the song, but if they say that to me, it does sound different to me because like I feel like it kind of is forced in a sense. Like I'll even go back to, one of our good friends back in the day. He's from Africa. When he would say it to me, it didn't sound the same. It didn't sound like the people that said it from where I'm from. I mean, I'm from inner city. K. Okay. I don't think I've ever heard him say it. You never heard him say it?
I think so.
Oh, I heard him say it all the time.
Okay.
But I mean, we also went and got our ears pierced together. We on a different level.
That's true.
Yeah. It was different. Like I was the first person he met.
Don't you have a picture of your?
I threw it away. I do have it. Okay. But I threw it away. I can't keep that.
I mean, yeah,
can't keep that. That was college. I didn't experiment like that stuff, but yeah, there's a picture of just booties.
I wasn't gonna say it. I was just
but you inferred it, so the audience, the three people, are going to want to know what it is. So
just because they want to know doesn't mean you have to tell them.
But it sounds different when someone that is not from the U.S., that family, that blood didn't go through that same struggle. Their struggle was different, so it sounds different than me. I could say, some of my white friends that say it, man, they great grandparents, slave owners. I could say that, and
it's probably not even that far back.
It probably is not that far, but I just wanted to give them the benefit of it. I wanted to go back. So I look.
Harriet Tubman and Ronald Reagan were alive at the same time.
At the same time?
Yes, same time.
When you say it like that,
so it's not that far back.
It's not. It's not. Wow. When you say it like that, but I think about it, like, Jack Trice was born in 1902. Mm-hmm. His parents were slaves. Jack was born free,
right?
But his parents were slaves.
Not completely free though. He still didn't have the Civil Rights Act. He
didn't.
Yeah,
he didn't. But he was living up in Cleveland, so he was in the north. At least he got to the north.
Yeah,
they got out and got to the north. But so I look at that and I'm like, I'm not calling them enemies or anything by any means. I'm not saying that anybody that says that is an enemy. But what I'm saying is, like, it just sounds different. I look at these things different when I hear certain people say it in a different way. And now I pulled this thing up, and that's why I got the word enemy. So I use the word enemies. But this goes back to my other thing. We can talk about this a whole nother time. But New International Version, another one. It's my DJ Khaled and another one. But can you go ahead and read this this verse and why you chose this verse?
Okay, so just to give some background, I see if you're using the word through malice, you as an enemy, because you see me as an enemy. Doesn't mean I have to like fight you, because that's what the verse is talking about. But like, if you still are wishing for my demise, or just what my existence to be to benefit you and not care about me, that's wrong. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's where the base of the word comes from. It's like people who saw us as a way to get resources cheaply, So
do you think, before I put that verse back up, so you play basketball, I play basketball, football, I play sports and stuff like that.
I know. Yep.
So
you're just diving all up into it. Okay.
You want to get into your opponent's head.
Okay.
You want to whatever. I mean, I know
this is better than where I thought it was going. So sweet.
Well, I want to know where you were going to go. But what I'm saying is, like, you want to get under their skin. Now I know some NFL players, they talk about in the bottom of the huddle, people poking them in the butt, grabbing their nuts and stuff like that. That's just weird. But
yeah,
it's weird. I saw some Miami Heat thing. I don't know if you've seen this Miami Heat thing where like the hotel and they're okay. I'll show you that one later. But you say things to get under your opponent's skin, and you may not mean it. You may not do it. So if a dude is across the line from me, I'm a lineman. Dude's across the line from me, and he's saying N-word, I'm gonna eat you for lunch. Like his girlfriend could be black. His aunt could be black. And I don't know that. I don't know anything about this person, but He says that because he knows he's probably going to get to me because he's a white guy saying the N-word to me, knowing the history of that word. And he's just saying it to get under the skin. But
he should be kicked out of the game.
Kicked out of the game?
Yeah.
For words?
Yes, for that word, yes.
Wow. Why? So why? Why?
It's kind of like, it's one of those words that provoke violence.
Your mama provoked violence. Your mama is so fat.
Here's why.
Her waist size is equator. That's
if there's a mic,
violence.
If there's a mic in the huddle or in the line. So say the guy's lined up. If he says your mama joke, I mean, some people would be like, "Oh, he's being rude to him," but like they're going to see it as he's attacking you. If he says N-word, I'm going to, eat you for lunch. I think that's what you said. Yeah. Everyone that looks like us is going to be offended. And that's the difference.
But everyone is not going to be offended. That's the word.
Okay, everyone that looks like us should be offended. Put it that way.
But should, could, would, those are words that aren't definitive. Because again, for one, if it's one black person on the team, if I'm an outside line, if I'm a left tackle and a right tackle, on the way opposite sides of the field. So there's 5 of us. We got a 5-man. There's 5 of us. There's 3 people in between me and that person. That person said to me, the other person ain't gonna hear it. But what I'm saying is, why would you kick them out? Because it's the same thing as if they said, I'm gonna F your girlfriend after this. And then and then I'm gonna kill your dog. But if they can say anything to get under your skin.
As a ref, I wouldn't be mad they kicked someone out for that either. I'm saying you definitely should kick someone out if they're going around calling people the N-word.
Okay. All right.
It just doesn't help the game at all.
What if a black person says to a white person?
No, but
no what? No what?
Me personally don't think that's the same thing.
But it's the same word.
It's the same word,
and it's being used in a negative way.
Yes.
If I say N-word, you ain't Jack.
Right. It's different.
Why is it different? It's still an offensive word being used to somebody in a derogative way, because we know if we know what the word means, and with the hard R, and we know what it means, and I say that to somebody else, I use the hard word on somebody else that don't look like me.
It's one of those double standards.
But why? But why does it have to be a double standard? If you can't use it, then if they can't use it, no one should be able to use it. And if anybody uses it, they should be kicked out of the game, because you basically said they should be kicked out of the game because they're using it in a negative way. So if it's negative, it's negative, right?
If a white person is calling a black person the N-word in a game,
what if it's Hispanic?
Same.
They should be thrown out.
Yeah.
But black on black crime is okay. So if 2 black people are saying it to each other, I'm being honest. You knew this where this conversation was gonna go.
Yeah.
Because you bring it.
You said black on black crime. That's what bothered me about it.
But it is black on black crime. When if two black people are using the N-word against each other, they don't know each other. They're on opposite teams and they using the N-word. Does that mean that is black on black negativity? I won't use the word crime. It's black on black negativity, anger, whatever you want to do.
I'm not saying it's right. I just don't think it's at the same level.
Yeah, but you can't throw somebody out for one person for using it, not the other person for using it. It's the same thing as the Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady rule and Jordan rule, where you're protecting these people for certain things.
But there's double standards that go the other way.
Okay, give me one.
Or just look at prison.
What?
Sentences, like court sentences.
Okay.
How it's just not the same.
But we're not talking about court sentences. We're not talking
about. I'm saying there's double standards in the world, so I feel fine about having this double standard on this word.
Okay. I like where you stood on that one. That's I understand. I typically, again, I'm playing devil's advocate.
I know you are, because this is not the energy you're giving me when we had this conversation. And I'm.
What do you mean it's not the energy? This is the same energy I was giving you.
No, it's not. No.
You told me not to. You told me to save it off for the gram.
I get it, but you were like, when I told you about the N-word, like you're like thinking that William should definitely shut it down. Like anyone who says it,
okay. So
like baby powder everywhere.
Oh, so you want me to go back to that?
No, I'm just saying that's the energy you're giving me.
But no. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying anything different than that. I just haven't said that yet.
Okay.
I haven't said that yet. Like if a group of white friends are going around saying, like, from what this conversation is about, there was a group of white friends of Williams, that were saying it. Now, the thing about this conversation, which is that also that double standard too, is you said these are Williams' friends.
Yeah.
It's not another team, another basketball team of group of guys that look like his same teammates saying it around William. It's his teammates that he considers friends because he still says the word friends with them. Yeah. So he still considers a friend. So that's a thing on him. That's a his mama thing. That's a his mama side thing.
Okay.
Like, because again, these are his friends and he's still friends with them. And he considers them friends still. And he says, hey, for the path of least resistance, I let it slide. Again, if I walk up to that school and I go there and I'm in that huddle, they are not going to say that with me there. I guarantee it.
Right.
I guarantee none of them are going to say it with me. They know I can't put my hands on them, but they know none of them are. I bet you none of them will say that with me in there. I bet you none of them will say that with you in there.
Right.
And you only 4'2". So it doesn't matter your stature. They're not.
If I stand up, I am taller than when I am sitting down.
But yes, they're not. They're not going to say that with us there. We are not their friends. We are an adult. They know what the word means, and they are getting a pass because your son is allowing them to get a pass. Until somebody is like everybody, everything all fine and dandy and smile, so you get punched in the mouth, and he needs to punch one of them in the mouth to set a standard. I haven't changed my fact on that. Okay. That is a fact. It's a group of his friends that are doing that. Punch him in the mouth. Repercussions. What she say when she saw it? It's the same thing as what she said when she saw it.
As your friend, I needed you to say that, so then when this comes out, and if we get more than 3 people listening to it, you don't sound like Candace Owens. That's all I was trying to say. No. I have to. I'm playing the sides because I just wanted the information out that you are.
Oh, I'm black.
Blackity black.
I'm black.
Y'all. Yeah.
I'm black. There are certain situations where, again, there's a time and a place for everything. On the football field in sports, when you're on the field and opposing teams, you say whatever you want to say to get under them, because if you get somebody flustered and mad, you're gonna make them mess up because you use the cracker word. I play football, call somebody a cracker. They don't like that. They don't like being called a Ritz or a club cracker. Like they don't like that. They don't like that. That's derogatory in a sense.
Is William a Ritz?
Ooh, no, he William. Oh, I didn't want to put that. William is a flip side. You know, the one with a cracker on one side, the pretzel on the other side, the flips.
Okay.
You seen them? That's what he flips.
Okay.
He flips. Like, because
we're getting off subject.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is there's a time and a place. I don't agree. Like, I don't agree kicking a kid off the team. You know, they say that because you get under people's
I don't think kicking off the team.
Not the team, but like out of the game. Like, I don't agree with that one because I'm like, it's a tactic. That's a sports tactic. You say whatever you want to say for whatever. Just like Eminem talked about Captain America. You know, he was talking about Captain America in that move in there. But then I guess in this and all the stuff he was saying, he actually researched Captain America, and all that stuff was true. It was Captain America's like real stuff. So like, you know, you think about that. If you have ammo on somebody, something that's going to bother them, you put that out there because you're trying to win. He shut him up in that battle.
When you say Captain America, you're talking about the new Captain
Anthony Mackie. Yeah,
Anthony Mackie. I'm just saying that for everyone.
People know who I'm talking about. If I'm talking about 8 Mile and Eminem.
You said Eminem. You didn't say 8 Mile.
What did I say? Eminem.
You said Eminem.
Yeah.
You didn't say 8 Mile. He's gone at a lot of people. So when you said Captain America, it could have been. I don't know. I was just making it clear.
The culture knows.
Okay.
If they don't know, they Google Captain America. Oh, Captain America. And I get you. But what I'm saying is that is a tactic. So I understand that tactic. Not saying it's right. But I understand that tactic. So yes, you need to punch them in the mouth so they understand that they are doing something wrong. Because again, I look at it and I say that just like in your situation where you lost your black card when it was on hold. Sorry, when we put it on hold, we had to put it on. We had to, you had a rotary phone. I had to put you on hold real quick. Okay.
Yeah.
When we put it on hold, that person that said that to you in a nonchalant way did not think he was saying anything wrong.
Right.
Or offensive. Just like the people that sing a song and say it word for word and say the N-word in the song, because in the song, they are not saying it to be offensive.
Right.
William's friends, while they're saying it, are not saying it to be offensive. They are saying it because it's acceptable, because that's what kids say. That the kids say that, they say that to each other. They feel that it's okay, and they feel it's acceptable to say it to their friend.
I give them less of a pass.
No, listen. It's because they're saying it to their friend. But like I said, they're not going to say it around me or you. And I bet you, and I guarantee you, they are not going to say it when they play Waterloo. I guarantee it's not going to, because they know the audience. You got to know your audience. Like this has nothing to do with this subject. I was in Michigan, went to the Notre Dame versus Michigan game up in Michigan, and I was a DJ. We had a tailgate. I was a DJ. I played some DMX, played something like that. My friend Kolar was like, George, you got to know your audience. He got on the phone, hit the button, Miley Cyrus, Party in the USA. Everybody came and started dancing. I was playing the wrong music for the audience. You got to know your audience. And again, these kids know the audience that they keep because they're in an area where it is predominantly looks like them, and they feel like they can say it because no one's told them they can't.
So let me defend Williams' basketball team. It's not his team, his teammates, it's his friends at school.
Okay. And, so sorry, not the basketball team, his friends.
Right. And
are any of them on the basketball team?
I doubt it.
Okay. Just want to make sure that. Okay.
I didn't ask for names because I know these people. Okay. But I give them less of a pass because he has said, don't say that around me. So like we've had conversations that go into the box that we throw in the ocean, right?
Yeah.
And when you say it goes to that box, if I bring it back up, I'm purposely being disrespectful to you.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
I typically, unless I'm trying to be funny, don't bring it back up. Right. And it's rare because like I respect our relationship, our friendship. So I'm saying they're in the wrong because he's told them to stop and they're refusing to, even though they will not say it in front of other people. Because he said, I bet you won't go and say it in front of X, Y, and Z. And they're like, yeah, you're right. So they know they shouldn't. They just don't think he's going to swing on them. So
tell him to swing on them.
All right.
Let's go. Let's go back to the Bible verse. but what I'm saying is, everything funny until you get punched in the mouth.
Right.
Like, I really meant that when I said it. It's like if you've told them and you've told the people that it's something that offends you, for one, it's William's fault. Don't know if you want to hear it or not. If he's told them and they continue to do it, why does he still use the word friends with them? If they're doing something that offends him, bothers him, those are not friends because they're not respecting him as a person in general, not as a black person. They're just not respecting him as a person. So if they keep doing it, when he's told them, "Hey, it bothers me, don't do that," and when he says you won't say it to my dad in my dad's face, you won't say it to the in the Loof's face, or you won't say it you won't say it in their face. It's William's fault for still hanging out with those people. And William doesn't need to be hanging out with those people if he's not going to hit them in the mouth. I say that because I look at the fact in the perfect one. I got it. You know, we movie people. The hate you give little infants F's us all. You know, Thug Life. In that movie, the hate you give, after her friend dies, because the police thought he had a gun, he had a hairbrush in his hand, and she's at school and she's talking to one of her friends because she goes to a private school, and she's talking to one of the little white girl that's her friend, and I'm talking about Star, the main character, and talked about, she's like, it probably did look like a gun in his hands, and that's what she said about her friend Khalil. And she goes in the girl's bag and she grabs a cone and she starts swinging it at her. And like, is it the same in my hand? Is it the same in my hand? She's like, no, that's how it feels. But she does this and she shows it because, again, these people have a double standard. And they thought because she was one of the good ones, or she was a cool one, or she went to school with them, that it was they were different. So they didn't equate the fact that I could be going to this all-white school, but I'm still black and from the hood, or I'm still black and from this area of all black people, or my family is all blacker than black. And they didn't equate that. And that's why I said, like, sometimes when you're in these areas, people, and I think about this, and some I might lose some friends over this comment if they ever watch this. But I know I have some white friends in Iowa that look at me as I'm the good one. I'm one of the good ones because they know me, but they've gotten to know me. But again, if they saw somebody else that looked like me, maybe a little darker, maybe a little taller, maybe a little bigger, whatever the case may be, they may not be as approachable to that person or comfortable going to that person because they don't know them. It's just, again, who they know. And because they know your son and they know that he is very nonchalant. William is very, very nonchalant, and he needs to toughen up a little bit sometimes, and not have that. He don't got to smile all the time. He ain't got to. He don't got to portray it all the time. He has to toughen up in that sense to know that he is black, no matter how light skinned, and half, redhead he is. He got to understand that. And I think that people get away with stuff because of those. You're one of the good ones, or I know you, or you're not like the others. No, I am just like the others. But for me, I have to put a mask on. That's why I say this is separate than what I do. I'm my nonprofit. I'm trying to help people. I'm trying to get people to the next level. And it's even more apparent when, our new president is getting rid of some DEI positions within the higher ranks. It makes my job harder in my nonprofit because by the end of July of this year, all of the scholarships at universities have to be vanilla down. They can't say for Black students. They can't say for Asian students. The wording has to be different to make it more all-inclusive to everybody. And they got to find out ways to still get it to who it was intended to go to, because people donated funds to these scholarships at these schools and universities for an intended group of people. And it's like, well, if you're not going to give it to the intended group of people, give me my money back. Well, no, they don't want to do that. They don't want to give people their money back and say, hey, we going to change the wording and still try to get it to the right one. Try. Because again, if a white person goes for a scholarship so the Jack Trice Endowed Scholarship is for a Black senior on a Black junior on the football team going into their senior year. It is specifically for a Black senior. I don't know how many years the family endowed it for. But if you have to change that to a junior on the football team going into their senior year, you eliminate a lot. You make it an all-encompassing. You smear it on. That changes what it is. And I say that because that's what makes this what we're doing is things aren't equal. Things aren't the same. And again, when you're in certain areas, growing up in certain areas, living in certain areas, people look at it and see things differently because of what they see. I came to Iowa State and I left after my freshman year. Like many people, I don't even really know this, but after my freshman year, I packed my car up with everything that I had. And I don't even think I ever told you I left. I might have told you later. I don't know if I ever told you, but I packed my car and I put everything in my car and I drove back to Cleveland. And I got back home and I called the university. I called Dr. Hill, who was instrumental in getting me there and keeping me there. I called him and said, when I got back to Cleveland, I said, hey, Dr. Hill, I just made it back to Cleveland. I just want to let you know I'm not coming back to Iowa State. And half an hour later, my mom comes down and she said, the same way you got your A's here, that's the same way you're getting your A's back out to Iowa. Summer school starts in 2 weeks. You will be back in Iowa in 2 weeks. You're not going to be living in my house without a degree. And I packed up and I went back because Iowa was different. Being from Cleveland, even though I went to an all-white school in the suburbs, I still had my time to get back to my roots. Iowa had none of my roots. I didn't feel comfortable there. And that came back, and that summer, I sat there and I went to summer school. I got a chance to have it at a slower pace, to actually see the community, meet different people. And then I ended up like, okay, well, this is good for me. And I had to I didn't have to be as aggressive as I had been in the past. I didn't have to be that. I wasn't wearing a mask. I just didn't have to be aggressive. I wasn't hearing the gunshots. I wasn't hearing the sirens going off. I wasn't seeing all the negative stuff on the bad news that was happening right down the street from my grandparents' house or my mom's house or my aunt's house or my cousin's house. I can relax and let go. So that changed me to say, I don't have to be as angry as I have been in the past. And that's kind of where I had to look at these things. And again, the environment you in kind of dictate that. And because Will is in an environment where it is a 65,000 person city when school's in session, and it's 95% black, because I was only like 2.5% black, and in general, I would say, you know, it's 2.7% or so of black students at Iowa State. Of the 24,000 enrollment every year, it's only 2%. You see a lot of them on the basketball and football teams or whatever, but it's still a small percentage. The same in this high school, the same in, you know, so he's going to see that, and it's going to be different.
Yeah.
So that's where I quote unquote got the love for enemies, because I didn't see them the same way anymore, because I was like, okay, I got to look at this different. Like, are they really being malicious and being mean towards me? They are going by what they've seen. You know, when I found out, like my roommate Jackie, when I found out she graduated with 37 people. You graduated with 37 people? Yeah, that was 4 towns put together. Like, what? Like 37 people lived on my street. Like, you know, like 37 people was in my house for a party the other day. Like, you know, and so it's just these different things when you're in that environment. And so because Will lives where you all live, he is going to see these things.
Yeah.
So I'll let you go ahead, and then I'll let you read the verse.
Well, I basically, this is part of Sermon on the Mount, and Jesus is basically telling not just to love your neighbor, but to love your enemies as well. And it's important to me, as I've grown and matured, to not raise William in the eyes of like, yes, he's black, but I want him to see himself as, you know, belonging to Jesus more so than him being black. So my flesh wants me to tell him to swing, but I don't think that's the right decision because of what Jesus said. So like, I've tried to teach him to be forgiving, but also he needs to walk away if they're not going to respect him, but just not like treat them as enemies.
Sometimes you got to knock your friend out to let them know it's real. When I say punch him in the mouth, pick him back up. Like, you can pick him up. Once you punch him in the mouth, you can help him back up. He's gonna learn. One way you're gonna learn today, you're gonna learn the error in your way. Did Will walk in, or little George?
Well, George got here a little bit ago.
Okay. You can pick them up. You know, again, knock them out, pick them up, let them know that, hey, this is a moment in our friendship that is testing our friendship, but it's not an end all if he believes that that's going to be his friend.
Right.
Yeah, Will, we talking about you. I know you can't hear me. But that's the thing about it is, I don't bring the Bible into this, because again, they always say, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. That's always been a saying. That's always been out there. Whether they get that from the Bible or not, you always keep your enemies close. You want to know what's going on. You want them to know who you are, that you're around and you're always watching. That's the thing about keeping your enemies, having love for your enemies. Your enemies don't always have to be enemies forever. I think that can change. And I think, you know, I was going on a serious route, and then I want to add a non-serious thing. But one of my favorite movies, you know, series is the Rocky movies. And the end of Rocky 4, when he's fighting the Russian, he's sitting there and he's like, you know, I came here, you didn't like me, and I didn't like you much neither. You know, but if you can change and I can change, then we all can change. And he's in Russia and he talks about that. And you know, it's like people look at you for this one reason. They look at you, you're American. I don't like you because you're American and we're Russian. You know, so we're gonna hate you. But now, okay, I see you're a fighter too, and we have a fighter in the ring with you, and you showed us that you're just a fighter. Like, it's not about political stuff. It's not about biblical stuff. It's about being a person and letting them know what the real is. And again, I just think that you can bring the Bible into it, but it's just being real and letting people know, look, I'm not going to take this, and I'm not going to settle for this. So, Will, what you need, man? So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, I get where you are conflicted because of one, where you live, you're a pillar in the community, you got other things going on, so you have to, you know.
Am I a pillar?
You're a business owner in the community. Business owners are pillars.
Yeah. Okay.
Your truck don't say free candy on the side, even though it's a white van. You know, it don't say free candy. So you got that going for you. You got that going for you.
We might just not have to air this one.
This is going live. This is live on a YouTube right now. So as soon as we hit end button, it's already on YouTube. I already set that up. Cool. Ain't no editing with it. Yep.
Just gonna be a lot of comment section. Apologize. See what happened was.
Hold on. Who you think gonna make it to an hour and 10 minutes?
Yes,
Let's be real. You know, we're gonna have to get like, you know, this is an app called Headway. It gives 15-minute
I haven't checked the comments. Do I owe someone $50?
What was the $50 for?
I remember what it was. It was basically said by a certain date, if someone got to this point and said something, I would pay them $50.
Oh, I didn't check the comments. We're gonna check the comments. I haven't checked them either. But yeah, no, I mean, you know, the N word is a hard one to wrap around. You know, we didn't get into this, but you know, we have a friend that was rapping a song and said every word of the song, and we looked at each other. But then, like before we cast judgment, I looked around the room. I read the room, and I'm like, a whole bunch of black people in here. Like nobody else said anything. And
I think
this
that was
person
a fluke. I think it was a fluke.
It could have been
what happened. He was friends with everyone, and so we all assumed that someone in that room gave him the pass. And so we're like, someone must have did it. Let's just keep going, right? Yeah. And then we had a conversation amongst ourselves, and he just slipped it by all of us.
But I wasn't bothered by it. When I read the room, you read the room, you're like,
I was bothered.
Ain't nobody saying nothing.
Yeah,
ain't nobody gonna say nothing. So what we doing here?
But I assumed the person who gave him the pass was bigger than me, so I was just like, I'm just gonna be.
The person who gave him the pass was bigger than you and I put together.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, yeah, but it's like, you know, this is these things, but it's a hard topic. It's a word that they always talked about burying this word before. That this word should be buried in but if they can put Riz and Skibby and all that in the Bible in the dictionary now, I don't know if we could ever bury this word. The word, while it has negative meaning when you have the R on it, the hard R changes the word in this day and age. Because it is a term of common daring. Like it's like, I mean,
my mom said the hard R to me when I was trying to explain this to her, and it felt weird when she said it.
The hard R sounds weird when anybody says it. Yeah. You know, except for when a dude in Clayton Bigsby and Dave Chappelle, when he says it, I don't even get offended by it. I'm like,
yeah.
He divorced her because she was a lover.
Yeah.
Like that's not like he said hard R, and I did like it sounded okay. I know it's an actor, but it's like, you know, but I mean, I get it, but it's just like it's a hard word. But the problem when you're in an area that is not surrounded by people that look like you, or people that really understand why it bothers you, because I don't know if we tried to explain it to people. I don't know if we tried to explain it to people that don't look like us, what that word really means. We just get mad when they say it. And it goes back to the thing when I talk about the person touching their hair. We jump to getting mad by it. And it's boom, the first time is like, bam, hit you in the mouth. But like I said, with William, he's already told him it bothers him. And they haven't asked why. They're not his friends. If they haven't checked why does that bother you? And they keep saying it, they're not his friends. He needs to get some new people around him in his circle. because again, that's not people needs in the circle. That will alleviate some of that stuff, because then if they try to say it around the wrong person, they're gonna get hit in the mouth, and then you ain't got to get called in the principal office.
At the time of this conversation I had with William, 45 wasn't 47 yet.
45, 47. Do. Okay.
So at the time it felt very heavy, but now that 47 is getting active, it feels like less of a priority.
The N-word seems like less of a priority.
Me addressing this issue with him feels like there's bigger.
What's bigger in your four walls than this conversation with it? I don't believe there's nothing bigger in these four walls.
In my four walls, I've had a conversation with him. So like, I'm saying he would have to take it outside of the four walls to deal with it. But I feel like, so like if I'm having a conversation with William, my objective is to help him make his environment outside of here safer and learn how to do that. And why I say I feel like it's less of a priority is we had ICE in town yesterday. There's the leader of the Proud Boys is free again. There's people who are training for Civil War, and they feel like their 47 is their leader. So I feel like if my objective is to try to help them be as safe as possible outside these four walls, it's less of a priority.
But what takes precedent over it? Like, I mean, I still don't get what as a high school kid.
But he's going to vote next election. I mean, he can. I'm not saying will, but he can.
Okay, but what does that have to? That's in 4 years. I'm talking. No, I'm not talking about the midterms. I'm talking about because if you're talking about 47, that has nothing to do with the midterm. 47 is done after this, unless he changes that he can go with another term. But what I'm saying is, this is important in your four walls. There's nothing more important in your four walls than this. And we talk about his safety and stuff outside. What does that have to do with him addressing this with his friends? Is the whole purpose of why we did this.
Saying we've talked about it, and I feel like I wanted to educate him on other things that are going on in our community, not just this one issue, is what I'm saying.
So I get that. I get that 100%. One of the things that voters are stupid. I'm a voter, stupid. But one of the things is, you talked about the midterm, and I wasn't trying to downplay the midterm, because I voted the midterm more than I have voted for the presidency, because I don't feel sometimes that my vote counts as much as it should be in the 4-year big election.
Right.
But when I look at the midterms, that's where my voice can be heard enacting change, because those are the things that people that slip through, because nobody goes in the 2-year elections, so they get to slip some things through because no one voted on XYZ or against XYZ, so it passed because it wasn't voted against, because people like, if it ain't the president, I don't care about it. Everybody that comes out and votes just for the president and doesn't vote in the midterms, you should be ashamed of yourself. And I'm not afraid to say that. Don't just show up when it's free before 11. Show up all the time. And you can enact more change in these midterms with your schools. Out here, they're shutting schools down. Schools aren't getting funding because people aren't going into midterms when those real cases are out there. And people are going in to these 4 years and voting for the president. And that's all they're voting for. Some of them are just voting, not even voting for everything else. They may vote. I mean, because I know, like in Arizona, they took away where you could hit the button and just vote all Democratic, all Independent, all Republican. Because I used to go in, you could just go in and be quick. Hey, I just want to vote for all Democrats. I'm a Democrat. Or I want to vote for all independents. I'm an independent. Or they erased that out of here. I don't know how they do that in other states, but that in Iowa and Ohio, they used to have it where you could hit a button on your ballot and it voted for all that stuff. And then you can get quicker to vote for the things you want. But we have to show up to enact change every day, not just some days, or not just when it's convenient. And that's one of the things that I look at that and I say, with William and this is a small step, but there's a book that I think a general wrote. He think he was an ex-general or colonel or something like that. And it's called Make Your Bed. If you haven't read it, it's a quick read. I think I might have it, but it's called Make Your Bed. And it's not really about making your bed, but it is about making your bed. But it's about starting with something small and having that small accomplishment. Because you start your day with a small accomplishment. Man, I made the bed. Boom. Small accomplishment. Or if you know you need to go to the gym and next to your bed, you got your gym shoes, you throw your gym clothes on the shoes. So when you get up, you put that on. If you're wearing your gym clothes, like, man, why the fuck am I sorry. Why am I wearing gym clothes? Why am I wearing gym clothes and I'm not going to the gym? So let me go to the gym. But you got to do these small steps. So I do think that this is important, especially for where William lives, where you all live. It's important for him to have this first small step and first small win in order to progress through things. So those other things are bigger, way bigger than him. But he has to start with these small steps, because if he can't attack and win the small steps, he's going to have a hard time with the bigger stuff. So he has to start by getting these small wins and victories. And again, that will help him to build his voice, because in 2 years, if he has no voice, going and voting ain't going to do nothing. He's going to be having other people's voices there and not his own.
Okay. So I wasn't saying I'm trying to prepare him to be an educated voter. I just use that as the first thing that popped in my mind. Mm-hmm. What I appreciate you saying that, because you're right. I do feel like he needs to, at least from my perspective, either establish my friends need to respect me or they're not my friends. Mm-hmm. He needs to figure that out, because that's going to be a life thing, right? But outside of voting, I just want him to not be ignorant to a lot of the things that people let go. For example, I had a conversation with, let's say, roughly 5 white people. I asked them, what should the societal response be to the Nazi salute? Like in an ideal world, how should we have responded to that? And I got a lot, and then most of them, like all of them, were Caucasian ass. And I got a lot of, let's just wait and see. And they make that, and from my perspective, I think they can say that comfortably, because if they're wrong, they're not the target, and they know that. So they have the ability to wait and see.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and I want him to understand that that's generally how people behave. And I know I'm guilty of that too. And I try not to be, but I know I'm guilty of that too. But I want him to understand, like, just because those people say they care about you doesn't mean they're going to make decisions that actually help you.
So that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. If you don't understand the same struggle of somebody, you could never really understand. You know, like if you've never ate government cheese or government peanut butter, you aren't on the same level as me. Like I may be in corporate America. I may have lived in Iowa. I may have gone to an all-white high school, but I grew up on a jar of peanut butter. Not even a jar, a coffee can of peanut butter, where it had a layer of oil that thick on top of it. You got to mix that crap in before you do it. I will admit, government cheese made the best grilled cheese sandwiches. I have never had a better grilled cheese sandwich in my life than the government cheese grilled sandwiches. It's the government cheese is a mix between Velveeta and cheddar. Okay. So it makes the perfect grilled cheese sandwich.
Okay.
I think when they do the commercials, and pulling apart, I think they use government cheese in there. I don't think they're using their own craft cheese. I think that's government cheese. But I digress. But we are not the same. We are not alike. If you can't do that, if you can't relate to those things, you can always say you have my back. But when it comes push to shove, you're going to look out for you and your own first. And again, like you say, people don't got to worry about the same things that I got to worry about. Yeah. Our kids got to worry about different things than a single ethnicity kid, because they have 2 ethnicities in it. So it's always going to be different. And you always got to look at things, and you got to read deeper into just the words. You always got to read between the lines. I think in this day and age, you just got to there is no one straightforward. It's not straightforward anymore. You got to read between the lines.
Just another example of things that people are okay with that shouldn't be. We've known for decades that people who go to Klan meetings are also police officers, doctors, teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we even know their identity, and people are like, well, we're okay with it. They haven't really done any harm. And what they're saying is they haven't done any harm to us, not to Black people.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like that. I mean, that should be disqualification of a job, but it's not. So he needs to be aware of that's the reality.
But devil's advocate, if you go to Panther meetings, just saying.
What do you mean if you go to Panther meetings?
Like Black Panther meetings. If you're a Black Panther, that's the opposite. That's the militant side. That's the militant side.
It's the militant side, but it's not the opposite.
Opposite, but it's the militant side, and it's a right.
It's a militant side of like we need to protect ourselves because they're not doing it. Society's not doing it. That's just common sense.
Yeah, but to the point of they haven't done anything. If you go to a Klan meeting, you haven't done anything to anybody. I look at that and I say sometimes if you go into a meeting about a meeting, church is a Klan.
Don't do this. All right. I will not say just because you're at a Klan meeting doesn't mean you're in the Klan. Yeah. But if you, because there's people that probably went and didn't know they were going to a Klan meeting.
Yeah.
But if you go back.
If you know what it is, you go back.
Yeah. Then
there's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. But do you feel like, sometimes you're independent, sometimes you're Republican, sometimes you a Democrat, sometimes you're a Klan member, sometimes you get in order to say away.
No.
I didn't think so. I just was trying to see if it. Yeah. Ain't nobody making it this far.
I know, but like, is that what they're called? 6%ers, 5%ers?
1%ers?
No, like the equivalent to like the Black supremacists and like the. I don't know. They say they're Muslim, but they're not really. They think Black man's God and all that stuff.
Oh, I don't know. No,
I think it's 5%ers. Okay. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
People know what I'm talking about. I see that as the equivalent. Like I wouldn't join that group because I wouldn't want to join a group that said I am above the rest of God's creation.
Okay. Yeah.
But I don't think the Panthers were like that. Panthers were like, we just need to help our community because we can't expect the government to do it because the government still has it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're gonna wrap this up.
All right.
But as we wrap this up, what I'm about to share, we do not own the rights to this. Hopefully, we don't get canceled for this. And I did say the F word on here, so I will have to again make this episode explicit because it's already out on YouTube. But this is what we're gonna share real quick, and we're gonna ride out with it.
Yeah. This is based on a real story too, by the way. I can't hear it.
You can't hear it?
No.
So I don't know where it was coming from. So we won't play it, but just know.
Have you seen Real Teacher?
I have not seen A Real Teacher.
Okay, there's a video out there. It's not hard to find.
I don't know why we can't.
I mean, they literally just took what he said. Like they didn't even change it that much.
Okay, all right. Well, if you get a chance, the Boondocks teacher Joe Pedal rant take a look at it. That's gonna kind of show our point. But as we wrap this up,
notice I find it funny, so I'm a hypocrite.
You are so bad. That's what I don't understand.
I'm a hypocrite.
But that's a cartoon. So the cartoon was taking the voice something else. So I can understand why you don't get mad at that. You could be mad at the real dude, but
yeah, I was.
Yeah, no, that's what it is. In the Fog. It's a long episode. We'll holler at y'all next time.
Jesus is my goat.
Jesus.